Attention.
Region Review.
The Raging Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Raging Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? That's up.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
What's up, everybody? Cajun Nation, what's happening? Hello once again, and welcome to another edition of the Raging Review podcast. I'm Jerry, joined by Nick, joined by Lane, and of course we have our fan spotlight coming back for more, for an encore, Mr. Terrell Lentini, aka the Cajun Tuba. Guys, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to review the Troy win last week as Louisiana was victorious over the Troy Trojans at Cajun Field. We'll discuss the big game against the ULM Warhawks this Saturday up in Monroe. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the Sun Belt Conference race and what the Cajuns have to do to not only make the conference championship, but to also host it, to bring another game to Cajun Field. We'll talk about our Thanksgiving traditions. What do we have planned for Thanksgiving on Thursday? And we'll talk some basketball. But first, I want to say hello to you guys. What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
What's up, Jerry?
Good.
Nothing. Good to be back in the seat. Ready for some football this weekend. I know Lane, we were talking before this started. Lane's been super busy, but I'm sure Lane is ready for some football as well. But no, it's been a good week. Ready for some Thanksgiving and ready to watch a lot of football the next few days.
Yeah, and Lane, I was going to say, man, you're all over the place. You were killing it on social media today. You went by the UL women's basketball game tonight. It looks like they were victorious over UNO, which is always beautiful when we beat the privateers. That's some bragging rights for me. So no, that's I'm sure you've been busy, and of course, Terrell, I know you've been pretty active on social media as well. Looks like you're pretty excited about this game on Saturday. Guys, let's get it started. So the Cajuns were victorious against Troy, as always. After we like to do our final review of this past game, and let's put a bow on it. Cajuns were winners over the Troy Trojans by the score of 51-30. Louisiana's record now sits at 9-2 overall, 6-1 in conference play, and once again in the driver's seat for the Western Division title. Actually, technically, they won a share of the Western Division title this past Saturday, which is always nice. Always a good way to tell the seniors goodbye at Cajun Field as they were able to celebrate Senior Day the right way. But, I think this is what the doctor ordered from what we saw against South Alabama. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and one of the things I brought up was, look, you're always, whether it's the Cajuns or anybody you pull for, unless you go undefeated, you're always going to have maybe a letdown game. And I think South Alabama was the letdown game this year. Tulane, we've seen what they've done tonight. They're, I think, 17th in the CFP ranking. So we lost to a really good team against Tulane, which in my opinion, we should have won. But I really think the letdown game was 2 weeks ago against South Alabama. And, I think that could not have happened at a better time. We bounced back against a Troy team that was hot. And I thought it was very indicative of the way we responded. I know Coach Des had said that, and I don't really want to give too much away at the quarterback club meetings that I go to, because a lot of it's internal. But I will say one thing is that he said that we had a really good practice last week leading up to that luncheon. And so that just goes to show you the team was able to respond. They were ready to respond. And, it turned into a 3-touchdown win. I got to ask you guys what your thoughts were on this game against Troy, what you saw, what were some things that you liked, what were some things that you're worried about going into ULM. And Lane, I'll start with you. What did you see against Troy? What were some of the things you got out of this game? And do you feel like that type of play can carry that momentum into ULM and possibly a possible spot in the conference championship game.
So I noticed we got a little bit of a slow start-ish early on, but we were able to handle the pressure. And like I put on Twitter, at the end of the first quarter, Troy is all jumping around and like talking smack to the sideline and everything for no reason at all, I guess. And then we scored 30 straight points after that. So it was good to see the fight back from the team. And the one thing I'm nervous about for next week or this week is the run game from ULM for sure.
Yeah, I agree about the run game. That's the only thing that's really dangerous about ULM is that one freshman running back. Nothing else frightens me about him. But I think the thing that gives me the most hope for next week's game or this week's game is our team is really fun, and they support each other and they make their own energy. You need to do that when you go into ULM because we've heard time and time again, it's so quiet. It's hardly anybody there. You need to make your own energy to get yourself going. And I think this is a good team to have that.
Yeah. And it really just it goes to show you what I mean, like Lane said, Troy goes up 14-7 in the first quarter. That actually happened. I'm sitting at the 45 right behind the bench or the Troy bench, and they exuded a lot of energy in that first quarter. And it looked like it was one of those mindsets of we're going in, even though we know our season's technically over at 3-7, we're going to treat this like a bowl game. And you could tell it felt like that. And then they kick the extra point to go up 14-7, and then they go out and they do that celebration. And I'm kind of like, all right, well, maybe we need to respond. How we're going to respond? And I'm looking on our side, and while they're jumping and going crazy on the field, we're kind of chill. And I'm like, uh-oh, that's not good. Like, oh, crap. I hope we showed up today. I hope it's not another letdown game. And like Lane said, we scored 30 unanswered points all through the third quarter. So, we beat them on the field. We didn't have to worry about dancing and jumping up and down. We let the talking happen on the field. And I like the way we responded to that. We woke up right away, and maybe that was a little bit of rejuvenation that we need. I know Coach Des kind of alluded to that in his post-game press conference when he basically said that, gave us a little bit of an energy boost. So, thank you for that. But I was very impressed with the way they responded. That's what really I was looking for this week, especially against a Troy team that, in the previous two games were really, really hot. They were on fire. They were scoring at will. And look, they made it a game against us, but we still found a way to compound on our lead and come away with a 21-point win. 51-30. That's, even though we gave up 30 points to Troy, you still won by 3 touchdowns. So, no, it was good to see the way we responded. And like I said, I think that South Alabama game in essence might be a good wake up call for us to where now we realize moving forward, can't take anyone lightly. Nick,
obviously I'm happy with the win. And the way that we were able to bounce back. The thing that concerns me is that's the second week in a row we see the team coming out what we think is flat. Not as flat as they did the week before against South Alabama, and that cost us a game. Look, when you get into these games with teams who just want to beat you, I mean, we're going to go into ULM this week, and they're fighting for bowl eligibility. So we coming out flat is not an option. And that's the one thing that scares me over the past couple of weeks is that we had a lot riding on both of these games, and we came in flat. Now, last week, we did a good job of rebounding. Obviously, we had a great second half against South Alabama, but we got to come out with a little emotion and fire, like you were talking about, T, is the fact that you got to make your own. We can't depend on a crowd firing us up there because that's not going to happen. But, just it should be a business trip. You got one thing on your mind, and that's to make it to the championship game and let the dominoes fall as they wish from there, but don't come out flat. I think that is the biggest thing that we need to be careful with is can't come out flat on the road against ULM because they want that bowl win. They haven't been since what, 19? It might be longer than that. I'm not sure.
Oh, they haven't been to a bowl since 2012. And in the 30 years that they've been in Division 1A, or should I say FBS now, they've had one winning season, and that 1 year they went was in 2012. So no, they're going to be playing for a lot. And, again, I'm happy about the momentum that we showed and the energy that we showed last week, because we can carry that now. And it showed everybody that we're not just sleepwalking, right? I mean, that first quarter was scary. It was scary. But one thing we've learned, and one thing I've seen, is just all you got to do is go dance on the field as if you won the national championship, and then we'll outscore you 44-16 after that. So,
and I'm glad Big Super said this. Fields was on fire. I mean, that guy was ridiculous last week, and we need that. We need that kind of performance again. I mean, we'll need it for the next 2 weeks. Maybe 3. Depends on what happens with Ben. So definitely need Chandler just to be Chandler and not try to force anything. I mean, some of those throws last week were just sick. And I think we have the opportunity to score some points against ULM. The one thing, and we'll get into the game later, a couple of concerns on their end that make me a little bit nervous. But look, if if Chandler goes out and does what we know Chandler can do, if our defense bends but does not break, I think there's a good chance we come out of there with a win. But let's not make it a heart attack at the beginning. There was so much CDS going on in the beginning of the game. Looking on X and looking on Facebook, holy cow, it was just crazy. I mean, people were writing us off in the second quarter. I'm like, y'all, give it a second, man. Let's see what happens here, right? We're 10 minutes into the first quarter. Like, let's give it a second. I know CDS is a thing, but let's just try to get off to a good start this week so we don't have to have that CDS so early in the game.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think one thing that I was really appreciative of with Chandler, and I had told the Troy boys last week going into the game was, they had asked me, what's the vibe of the team and what do you expect now that Chandler is the quarterback? And I mean, Ben, who has been the starter all year, goes out. And I said, well, technically it's almost business as usual because Chandler's had enough starting experience. And I think the big difference, and they had asked me what the difference was, I always said Chandler's a little more fast on his feet. He's a little quicker on his feet, where Ben's more of a bigger, stockier, more of a passing type quarterback. Chandler is a really good rollout quarterback, and he tends to be a little more vertical on his passing game than Ben was. Ben likes to go in the flat. Ben will hit you in the out route passes. Chandler, that pass that Chandler hit to Lance Lejeune, I think it was like 50 yards out. I mean, that was a dime. And you, again, I said it in the post game, you look at Chandler and you're like, there's no way Chandler can make a throw like that. And he hit a few bombs. Hit one to Jacob Bernard in the first quarter, hit that one to Lance Lejeune, hit another one to Tavion Smith. And so it's just like, okay, well, if that's the case, if you mix that run game with that vertical passing skills that Chandler has shown, we're a hard offense to stop. Now, the big thing that worries me was when Dre Washington got carted off the field in the second quarter last week. That's scary because obviously you need him in that run game. I'm hoping that Zylan Perry comes back this week. That can really be a huge help to Bill Davis. We need that running back depth more than ever. And unfortunately, I think the season's kind of caught up with these guys because they've grinded so hard in between tackles and whatnot. But anyway, so let's just close it out with Troy. Again, let's put a bow on it. It was a good win. It was a much needed win. And it was nice to finally beat them after 3 or 4 tries. We hadn't beaten them since 2021. We hadn't beaten them at home in 5 years, and we've lost some heartbreaking games to them in the last 2 seasons. It was nice to get a W against the Trojans, regardless of whether or not they were a 3-7 team or a team competing for a Sun Belt championship. Those games are always going to be a grind to beat them, no matter what. They'll always bring their A game, but good way for our team to respond.
Screw those guys.
Anyway, guys, y'all have any final thoughts about the Troy game?
Nope. Glad it's over. Glad we got the dub and I just think it's time to turn our attention to the Warhawks coming up.
That's right. So again, Cajuns victorious over Troy 51-30. But now The real challenge begins. Now the Cajuns have a chance to play in the conference championship game, but they have one barrier in front of them, and that is the ULM Warhawks. And that is always a war up in Monroe, Louisiana. And to discuss that with us, we have the sports director for Sports Talk 97.7, home of your home of sports in North Louisiana, Mr. Sean Fox. Sean, welcome to Raging Review, my friend. How are you tonight?
Guys, it's not very often you hear ULM. This is the real challenge. So this is different times we're dealing with now. But yeah,
have you not watched us this season, man? The last couple of games, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's you can't help but be impressed with what's going on down there right now. You know, I'll be honest, guys. Before the season started, and I like Coach Dez a lot. Had a chance to catch up with him at Sunbelt Conference Media Day, but the way it was looking, like I said on my show, and I've eaten a lot of crow this year with some of my predictions. I was like, you know, Dez will probably go 6-6 again. Napier's going to get fired, and the Cajuns are going to try to do whatever they can to get Napier back to be the coach. And look, why would he not want to go back? He had such great success, but obviously Coach Des Moreau's turned it around. And I mean, I almost, you know, I kind of wish that the stakes were a little bit higher to add to this rivalry that you guys wouldn't have lost a couple weeks ago. So you could be the ones to try to ruin ULM's chance to go to a bowl game, and ULM could be the one to stop y'all from going to the college football playoff. But look, still a lot to play for, obviously, on Saturday.
And before you go, Jay, I was going to say, I mean, when we looked at the way that you guys got the season started, I mean, we started circling this game on the calendar because we're like, holy crap, this could decide the West. There could be so many implications. What if we both go undefeated? You know, so I know you guys stumbled, and I think the long-term vision for that program at ULM is fantastic under Coach Brian. What's his? I'm sorry, Vincent. Vincent.
Yeah.
Under Coach Vincent, but you know, I mean, this series is so crazy, man. You never know what you're going to get any given season. I mean, a couple of years ago, we thought we'd go in there and spank you guys, and then it turned out to be completely opposite. We got spanked at Malone Stadium. So, you know, cautiously optimistic by the way things are playing out for us, but can't sleep on it. I mean, we saw what happened when we slept on South Alabama for a half. They ended up winning the game.
Yeah, and this is, and obviously the history is the way that it is. I think a lot more have gone the Cajuns' way than they've gone the Warhawks' way, but there's been some games where nobody expected ULM to win, and they have. And there's been those years where ULM actually had a good team. There was a lot riding on the line the last game of the season, and missed extra points have happened or kickoff returns for touchdown. It's been a very strange series. But this, like going for it, I will tell you this, guys. I've been covering sports here for 20 plus years doing my show. And even the year that ULM went to a bowl game in 2012, which is the only time they've done it, there's never been as much buzz as there is about this program than it is now. Now, have they kind of hit a wall here recently? Well, that goes without saying. But Bryant Vincent is just a different dude. He's got people who might not normally spend money with this program. He's got people who might not normally believe him, because everybody, and this, the way it's going down the stretch, people are still saying ULM, but a lot of this season, everybody's like, no, you know, first of the first 6 weeks, okay, well, they won a game, they're going to lose the next one. They won two, they're going to lose the next one. And he's really done a good job changing the mindset. But here's the problem. If we would have said before the season, ULM would go 5-7, I think every single ULM fan would be like, sign us up, 5-7. Absolutely, the trajectory's headed to the right where it needs to be. And if we look at it from a 30,000 seat view, no matter what happens on Saturday, Bryant Vincent has more than surpassed expectations that anybody had in this program. But when you go 5-1 and you get so damn close, and to lose 6 in a row, obviously that would leave people with a bad taste in their mouth. But overall, like, they have more than surpassed any expectation.
I have nothing but respect for Coach Bryant Vincent. I didn't know much about him until, because the perception was when Terry Bowden got hired, a lot of fans thought this is it. You know, like if Terry Bowden can't get it done, what else are they going to do because of his name and because of his history? And, you know, when they fired Terry Bowden, I'm thinking, what are they going to do next? How are they going to get this done? And credit to the AD, credit to the administration. They go get Bryant Vincent. And I didn't know much about him. Like, I knew he came from UAB. I knew he had that one season where he made him bowl eligible as an interim coach. But I heard his press conference, and the first thing that came to my mind was, this is Mark Hudspeth for ULM. Like, that's what we kind of had that same mindset. We kind of had that same situation where we were kind of down in the dumps. We had a bad season, and then this coach comes in out of nowhere and just rejuvenates the fan base. He brings in all this energy, and that's what I feel like that Brian Vincent has done with ULM is he's not only brought energy, but he's embraced the community. He has gotten the fan base on board, and he's gotten the city on board. Like, every single one of his press conferences, and I'm assuming you're at all of his press conferences, right?
Yeah, and he's on my show every Thursday. Yeah, every
single one of his press conferences, he always says, man, one of the things we've done is we've gotten the town behind us. We've got everybody behind us. We've got, we're changing the way we're doing things around here. He said today, or yesterday in his press conference, I was able to listen to it, how, he's like, one of the things he did, and it's very important, and we did this, was he got the nutritional program at ULM, which is, that is so important. Yeah. He's gotten things at ULM to modernize the program that ULM has always sort of lacked resource-wise. Yes. And one of the things he said, and it stuck out to me, was, win or lose on Saturday, this is only phase one. Mm-hmm. This is phase one of our program. And I'm thinking, if this guy, I really believe this guy can win over here. Like, I really think, 8-4 consistent seasons or 9-3 seasons, I really think that can happen with this guy if he can get the fan base on board, if he can get Monroe, the community, Ouachita Parish, that whole region, Northeast Louisiana, if he can get those fans on board, I think he can do it. I know the biggest thing with ULM to me is money and resources, and he's done a heck of a job trying to bring that back. And really all you needed was a little bit of shot of adrenaline, and I think Brian Vincent is that adrenaline for ULM football.
You've obviously paying close attention to it, Jerry, because you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. Everything you said, he's done. And one of the things that I've appreciated about it is, like, everybody knows the situation ULM is in. It is arguably one of the toughest jobs in the country.
Financially, no doubt.
Financially, is the biggest reason why, but obviously the struggles are there. And from the very first day he stepped foot on campus, he goes, I know what we are. He goes, I accept, like, this I cannot run from ULM's past. But what I'm going to do is, if a room needs to be painted, then we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to be the guys that go paint the room. Like, we can't keep using this excuse anymore, and we need to find a way. Listen, I'll tell you guys a story. This says enough about Brian Vincent. So, yes, I do the ULM games on ESPN Plus, but I'm actually a tech graduate, right? So, and this is Brian Vincent has done two things. He's actually on the text line of my show. You have Louisiana Tech fans texting and like, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm rooting for this guy. I can't believe I'm saying I wish he was our head football coach.
Has hell frozen over, guys? Hold on. Has hell frozen over?
Well, that second part, I definitely believe. They do wish he was their coach.
Because Brian Vincent has been, like, every time he signs off on my show, we all go, damn, like, I'm ready to go run for a wall through that guy. But I went to before the very first game, I went to a kind of meeting he had with boosters around town, or he wanted to be boosters. And I'm sitting here listening to this guy speak. And like I said, I graduated from Louisiana Tech, and by the time I got done and I'm in the media, I'm like, damn, give me my checkbook. Like, I want to sign a check to this dude. Like, he could sell ice to an Eskimo, and you kind of can validate it when you have the success that he's had up to this point. And look, in the grand scheme of things, like you mentioned, 9-3, 8-4, like, that would be great. But I think most ULM fans are pretty realistic, man. If you could win 5 to 6 games if you could be a consistent bowl team, and that's really all you should ask from some of the programs. There's so many damn bowl games. Like, just get the 6 wins. Like, that's not, I don't think, asking that much. On a semi-regular basis, get the 6 wins. It may happen on Saturday, and trust me, if they do, they're going to build the man a statue. I mean, that's just, I mean, they love this guy already. It's going to be tough. Would it leave a sour taste in people's mouth if they lost? Yeah. But I think when you step away from this season, you realize all they've accomplished in the first year. It's like, I don't think anybody I know nobody expected this.
So let's talk a little bit about ULM. So like you said, they started, or should I say their season, they started out 5-1, some really surprising wins. They go to Troy, they beat Troy, hold them to 9 points, which is really impressive. They get their win against Jackson State. They spank UAB, which in the grand scheme of things now, it's not really a surprise, but at the time, especially, it was personal for him because he thought he should have had the job there. And I mean, look, anytime you beat a team from the American, no matter who it is, especially ULM that's trying to find that identity, it's impressive. And then the big one was JMU. I mean, we were actually watching the JMU game as we were doing our post game. I was pulling for ULM because I'm like, that would be great. And sure enough, the defense, probably ULM's best defensive performance since Arkansas in 2012, And then from there, they beat Southern Miss at homecoming. I think they broke a record for the largest crowd in the Sun Belt game at Malone Stadium. And then after that, you started to see the slip. But even in the 5-game losing streak, 2 or 3 of those conference games have been really close. They lost a close one to Marshall. I think they went toe-to-toe with Arkansas State for a little while last week before Arkansas State pulled away. How is the overall, I guess, the vibe? How is the overall vibe of this football team right now, considering the fact that you get off to a nice start, but you're losing these games, but you're losing them closely to where do they feel like they can go in this weekend and get over that hump, or is the morale down enough to where with the way the Cajuns are playing, maybe
there's no morale down with Brian Vincent. So, but I will tell you this, and I know everybody's dealing with injuries right now. I know the SEC has put out their injury report now. I know Sunbelt doesn't, but if they did, I think ULM's would be about like this. They've got guys, some who are starters, dealing with multiple injuries, who are gutting it out. So I do think injuries have been a factor down the stretch. But listen, the excitement level is still there because, one, you got a chance to go to a bowl game. But even if you didn't, you're still playing your rival. And there's nothing that's going to motivate you more than playing against your rival, and especially when there's something with so much on the line. And look, all these guys, or I say all these guys, a lot of these guys have played against each other at some point in their career. Heck, the way they are in the transfer portal, they might have been teammates at some spots before then. So there's always the familiarity there. What's really happened down the stretch, though, guys, that you started 5-1, and that was the easiest portion of their schedule. Now, in the past, ULM was the team that the bad teams beat to get that win. So ULM, I think this is kind of the first step of the process. You're beating bad teams, which is good. You were the bad team getting beat by bad teams. That's not the case anymore. I do think in some ways, maybe the magic formula got figured out, and the magic formula wasn't that impressive. It was they played good defense. They could run the football. They got turnovers. They didn't turn the football over. Well, the last 6 weeks of the season, that's changed. They're not creating turnovers. They're turning the football over. That's the biggest thing. And unfortunately, they've got a really special running back in Ahmad Hardy. I mean, this kid is the real. He is without a doubt the best running back in the Sun Belt Conference. He's probably the best running back in the state of Louisiana. And if he's not playing for an SEC team next season, which is sad to say, and we all hate that, it would be a shock. But that's just where we are in college. He's a special, special player. But unfortunately, that's kind of been the offense. The passing game now it's gotten better here recently, but consistently hasn't been able to produce. So it's kind of like 3rd and 7, might as well be 3rd and 17 sometimes. ULM is at their best when it's 3rd and 5 or shorter, where there's still that possibility they could run the football. When it's 3rd and you have to throw, that's when they seem to be in trouble. Like I said, it's gotten better, but it's still not near where it needs to be. On the other side, the defense started like gangbusters. Like they had a guy, Billy Pullen, who led all of junior college from last year in sacks. I think he had 13 or 14 last year. And he comes in, and it's like, damn, like that dude is a dog. Everything you heard about him, I mean, he lived up to it. Since the bye, maybe teams have figured out how to block him. He hasn't been as dominant. They were creating multiple turnovers a game. They have not gotten an interception since the Southern Miss game. So that's kind of what's happened is they were overplaying probably what their talent was. They had some breaks go their way. But the biggest thing was they were creating turnovers. They're not the kind of offense that can, they're not good enough offensively to turn the ball over a lot, get down multiple scores, and get back. And in this stretch, they were leading South Alabama at halftime when they ended up losing that game. They had they were tied in the fourth quarter with about 3 minutes left against Arkansas State. They had a stop on 3rd and 8, got a penalty, and that ended up being a touchdown for Arkansas State, ended up being the difference. And they led in the fourth quarter against Marshall. So even while I do think they maybe have got figured out a little bit, they still had opportunities down the stretch to finish off games. You just didn't do it. But again, that's part of the process of learning how to win. And they're still in that phase of trying to learn how to do it consistently when they haven't done it.
So let's talk. You were talking about third and long situations. Obviously, you guys are really a run first team in the passing game.
And third, yeah,
yeah, and second, yeah. And but that's what I was going to ask you about. You know, you had General Booty coming in, highly hyped. You know, as a guy coming in to be a game changer for you guys. Hunter Herring, former UL quarterback, now with you guys, and then Aiden Armenta played last week. What's up with the musical chairs at quarterback? And 2, who do you think we'll see? I'm assuming it'll be Armenta again.
It's going to be Armenta, yeah.
Yeah.
Booty, guys, it just didn't work. They tried. They wanted it to work. Like he put up huge numbers at the junior college level. And I just don't – maybe this isn't the offense that worked because I think it was more of a wide-open offense he was playing at than it is more of this run-heavy offense at ULM. But it was tough. I mean, they were struggling to get 100 yards a game with him at quarterback. So I understand why you made them. I think Hunter Herring was actually – and I don't think you're going to see him at all because I think he's still dealing with – he's nicked up with some injuries. So he's kind of been in and out of the lineup. But he was really their Taysom Hill guy. Like if you watch the Saints, and I know your audience does, you knew when it was 3rd or 4th and short.
He's keeping it.
I almost called him Taysom Hill. Hunter was going to come in and be that guy. And I thought there was parts of this season where when they did struggle, I was like, you know what? Maybe just run that Taysom Hill offense with Hunter the entire time. Have Hunter and Hardy, and that will be your backfield, kind of like Taysom and Kamara, right? But I think the injuries have prevented that. He may be back to be able to play Saturday. But that kind of is the offense, guys. If you watch the Saints during when they had Derek Carr out, that's kind of what ULM looked like offensively. And I might be kind. There was receivers I really thought would pop off. They've got this guy Devon Wells who came out of I know it's a small school, but Long Island. He was one of the top players in the NAAC, whatever conference they were in. But he was a 2-time all-conference kick returner. Seems like an explosive guy. He's one of those guys that every time you see him about to get a punt or a kick or get a screen, you're like, okay, this is the play that's going to happen. And it hadn't happened yet. I still think he's got the ability to do it. They just really haven't developed at the receiver position. They got a bunch of tight ends, but mostly they're blocking tight ends. Look, one of the things Bryant Vincent has always done when he's been at UAB, when he's at New Mexico, his offense has always run the football as good as almost anybody in the country. And he's like most people strive for balance, but they still kind of want to be 65-35 run to pass. Well, I think sometimes it's a lot more 50-50 or we live in more of an era of the passing game. It was Ahmad Hardy and James Jones and Tavin Curry early in the season. You still see a little mix of Jones, but it has mostly been Hardy now. And like I said, if it's 3rd and 5 or longer, I mean, that's when they're in trouble. If they're above the sticks and they could still run the football, that's when they seem to be at their best.
And I think what you get out of Armenta is he is also a dual threat quarterback. Yep. I mean, I don't think they have to sell out on the pass because I mean, the passing game has not really been there. I mean, I think we could all agree on that.
Not consistently. No.
Right. So I think that, in game planning, you're going to stack the box and have a spy on him in case he tries to run it. But then again, I think we've seen teams, we really struggle against teams that run the ball well. I think our interior defense is a little suspect in the last few games. But what concerns me is even though Armenta may not show that he's a proficient passer, there will be opportunities for him to get the ball out. If he can get it quick enough, get the ball out of his hand to receivers that are open in the flat. So I look for that to potentially be something that Coach Vincent looks to do this week against us, is to take advantage of the fact that we're going to stack the box. We're going to have a spy on Armenta, and maybe some of his guys are freed up to have a short yardage pass and maybe break a couple of tackles for a long gain.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, the game plan's out, right? ULM's going to want to run the football, so you're going to stack the box, which should leave opportunities for either guys one-on-one to push it down the field, and they have connected on a few of those down the stretch. Tyler Griffin is a transfer out of South Central Florida who's come on recently and made a couple of big catches. Jake Godfrey is a transfer out of New Mexico. He and Armenta were on the scout team squad together last year at New Mexico. That seems to be his favorite target. And like I said, I think Devon Wells has all the potential in the world to be that guy, like you mentioned. Get him out in the flat real quick, get him in space, make a play. And I'd say the same thing about Artis Cole, who's a transfer from Fresno State. He's got kind of the same kind of build, the same kind of player. And these guys have done it in spurts. It just hasn't been consistent. I keep going back, beating the Hardy drum. That's been the only thing consistently all season long as far as offense. There's been spurts where other guys have done it, but from game one to game now, that's the only dude who's done it every single week.
So before I go, Lane, Terrell, you have any questions for Sean? Good. Okay. So, and thank you so much for spending time with us tonight to talk about this, because you give a really great analysis. I have just a few more questions. Yep. What will it take for ULM to win this weekend? What do they have to do, and what do you see panning out on Saturday?
Well, that's the second part is the loaded part. The first part, I think I'm not going to say anything that you guys don't know or your viewers don't know. You got to run the football with Ahmad Hardy, but in doing that, it's got to open up the passing game a little bit as well. I think if Hardy can go for 150 and ULM can pass for about 150 or 200, I think they can win the football game. But I also think you cannot. I know it's cliche to say we got to win the turnover battle, but you can't lose it. Like if you come out, you 0-0, 1-1, 2-2, you still going to give yourself a chance. But you cannot lose it to a better team. And the Cajuns are a better football team than ULM. But I think they're good enough. Get this into the fourth quarter. As Coach Vincent says, get it into a bar fight, and he likes his teams to have an opportunity in the fourth quarter. But yeah, it's again, you are kind of due to get an interception. You haven't got one in about 6 games. Maybe the home crowd I'd expect. And look, everybody has these same things. LSU, same time. It's going to be a conflict. Nobody's going to run from it. But you play at 11. LSU plays at 7. The weather should be fine. You've got a rival. It should be a great crowd. Hopefully ULM can feed off of it. As far as what I think is going to happen, I think this is more my heart than my head. Damn it, ULM's due for something. I'll say, and I'm not saying this guy's with much conviction. Karma, Chief, Brave Spirit finally forgives sins of the past. There's been offerings to the old Indian chief, and the Warhawks actually get a field goal that bounces off the goalpost but goes in, and ULM wins at the buzzer.
That's okay,
agree, right?
No, look, that's fair. Look, look, we have a term called CDS, which is Cajun derangement syndrome. Okay, there's going to be a lot of that for us this weekend, not just because of the fact that we've had letdowns in the past, but because every time we go to Monroe, even if we win, even when we win, it has to come down to one final drive or one play or a missed field.
It wouldn't be fun if it didn't.
No, like 2 years ago, same thing. 1 or 2 plays, big difference in the game. And the Warhawks, we were driving back to Lafayette with a big L. So hopefully that's not the case. All right,
we were so pissed. We were so pissed, Jerry. Remember that? I ranted for an hour on that.
I was in a car ride back to Monroe, sitting in the back seat, talking to you guys on what the hell did I just watch? Why am I coming back here disappointed?
Well, it's definitely going to be aesthetically pleasing when these two teams play. We know that. So expect a cluster.
Exactly. All right, one more question before I let you go. And this is as Rage and Review, so please don't take this the wrong way. Now you're a Louisiana Tech grad, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And of course, we like to go back and forth with the Louisiana Tech fans, but this is actually a sincere question.
Okay.
We still give a hard time to the former AD Tommy McClellan for his comments made in 2020. He's a douche. Okay, well, fair enough. I do have to ask, And I asked this because, I've seen the whole conference realignment and everything.
Yeah.
And I know you cover Louisiana Tech sports as well,
Absolutely.
being in North
Yeah.
Louisiana. What is the situation in Conference USA? I know, like as fans, we were kind of, I'll be honest with you, we were kind of enjoying the demise a little bit, but in the long term of things, I know right now, their head coach, Sonny Cumbie's kind of on the hot seat. I know a lot of fans
That's
are
an
being impatient.
understatement. Yeah.
It's been kind of weird seeing them have 4 straight losing seasons. It's not something we're used to.
Right.
Again, that's not stopping us from enjoying it just a little bit, right? We go back
I
and
get
forth.
it.
It's fair.
I get it.
But I do want to ask in Louisiana Tech situation, what does the future look like for them right now? I know they're putting money in their facilities and whatnot, but the conference affiliation and everything like that, do you see them in the Sun Belt one day in the future?
See you soon.
All right.
How's that for
All
a
right.
team? See you soon.
All right. Well, I'll tell you this. We will see Tech soon in basketball in a couple weeks. We're not really looking forward to that too much.
They're pretty good. They're
Oh,
pretty
we
good.
know. we know.
I've seen the Cajuns come up to the Tech and beat really good Tech teams. So again, that's what makes it fun. It's rivalry games.
Yeah, well, we definitely have that home and home we're excited about in football in a couple years. We always say we should play every year. The Tech and Tulane should be the 2 teams we face every year.
I think that'd be great. And I think maybe not Tulane, but I think there's going to be a time, whether we want to or not, we're all going to be sharing a conference and playing each other every year. So it's probably happening sooner rather than later.
Hey, if it keeps money in the state, like we've always kind of said, with Louisiana Tech, because of sort of the political history where we've kind of like, well, let them, they want to be in it. But now, look, honestly, I'll be honest with you, like we break records with crowds. Same thing with ULM and Tech. Yeah. I never understood the politics and the egos with both schools not wanting to play each other, because I'm like, you want to keep money in your economy? Like, I mean,
it made 0 sense.
Yeah,
and it still doesn't. And look, that was a topic we didn't broach for a long time because it was not beating the dead horse. It was killing the dead. I mean, you keep killing the horse is dead. You keep killing it. We stayed away from that topic, but now it's like, all right. And look, all jokes aside, yes, there was a side of Louisiana Tech fans that felt a certain way about the Sun Belt Conference and felt a certain way about Lafayette and felt a certain way about Monroe. That doesn't exist anymore. I think if you polled most Louisiana Tech fans, 75 to 80% are for being in the Sun Belt Conference, are for playing these teams. And it just makes, like, where we are in college athletics, guys, is it's now, if you're not at the P4 level, and there's tiers to the P4, it's survival of the fittest right now. We might not like each other, but damn it, we need each other these days. And regional rivalries are what make college athletics what they are. There's always going to be the few blindsided older fans who are like, I don't want anything to do with them, where it's a step back. No, it's a step forward now. I think most people, look, we could go back through the whole timeline, and I'll be glad to come back one day and we talk about why Tech at the time going to the WAC was a good idea. The WAC had regional teams. The WAC was a better league than the Sun Belt Conference. But you know what? Like everything in life, things change. And now the Sun Belt Conference, who was at the time the worst conference, has moved to, if not the top, certainly near the top of the G5s. So who wouldn't? Like, if you were to ask me, now this isn't universal, but if you could ask me, what league would you rather be in, the AAC or the Sun Belt? Personally, I'm going to say the Sun Belt. And I think on that, it might be a little more 50-50. I think there's still some people want to be in the American, and I know financially that works out better, but I'm as pro getting the Sun Belt as it can be.
No doubt about it.
I have a quick question, though.
Come on.
What year was that when ULM and Tech were supposed to play in a bowl game and it didn't happen? And what was the reason behind that?
2012 was the year. That was the only year that ULM made it. And Tech, here's the thing, like Tech going into the second to last week of the season was in the top 25. The only loss was to Johnny Manziel in Texas A&M in Shreveport, like 59-57. I was doing a Tech pregame show at the time, and the Orange Bowl officials were there. Like, Tech was possibly, if they'd have won the next 2 games, go to the Orange Bowl. Well, they lost a heartbreaker to Utah State, and then they lost the very next week to San Jose State. And from the way it was relayed to me was it wasn't necessarily, depends on who you believe, ducking ULM. They had been to the Independence Bowl before. They had been led to believe that they were going to go to the Liberty Bowl. And something fell through there. That's one side. The other side is they just didn't want to play ULM. Depends on who you believe.
Yeah, that's definitely wow. We remember when that went down because that was true. I was actually, funny story, I was in Ruston for a wedding the day that they played Utah State, and I remember the town was buzzing. And then
that was a great Tech. Tech had some dudes on that team.
Yeah, I do remember that team. They were who was that? The coach? He was
Sonny Dykes.
Yeah.
He's coaching TCU. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sonny Dykes. I do remember that. Well, Mr. Fox, it has been a true pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to this awesome matchup. Now, tell the folks at Rage and Review, or tell the fans where they can find you.
Yeah, well, obviously, guys, throw up. We'll share it on Twitter, but I do a radio show every day on Sports Talk 97.7 from 3 to 6. So if you got bored and you're done watching the Rage and Review, you can look it up online, sportstalk977.com. Hit listen live. I mean, this may not be the week you want to listen to it, but all the other times, there might be an occasional shot at the Cajuns, but hey, that's what it's supposed to be about, right? I'd expect y'all to take some shots at me and ULM and Tech. So par for the course. But yeah, you can find me there. The rest of the time, I really love the town of Lafayette. My uncle lives there. Great food. Some of probably the best in the state. I love everything about Lafayette, but you guys.
That's fair. And so Cajun Nation, if you're listening, so Sean has a show on 97.7, and obviously we can't really get if we're down in Lafayette, where can we go to a website?
Yeah. Like sportstalk977.com, hit listen live, or you could download the app 977 Sports.
Guy probably talks more. He probably talks more Cajuns about the Cajuns than the local Lafayette radio station. So I might give you a chance, brother.
I was gonna say, Cajun Nation, if you want to do some trash talking, just tune into Sean's show. You'll be on the air tomorrow and
every
Friday.
day
I'm
from 3 to 6. Yep.
But Thanksgiving you'll be off, right?
Yeah, I do take that day off. My wife would probably make me work that day, but I'm taking it.
She'll get tired of you like eating all the food and go back to the studio. So tomorrow and Wednesday and Friday, leading up to the game on Saturday, if you want to listen to Sean's show from 3 to 6 and call in, because look, if we hear some trash talking, we're calling in. Just letting you know, we'll give you some more.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Sean. We appreciate it. And
hey guys, continued success. Appreciate y'all.
You too. You and your family have a happy Thanksgiving,
too,
and we'll see you Saturday.
Thank you, brother.
You got it.
All right.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah, what you got, Nick?
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm excited.
Yeah.
You want me to tell you why I'm excited, brother?
Why are you excited?
All right, give me a second. I'll give you a hint. There's a guy on the phone. He likes to do some sermons on a little show by Hold DeMayo. He calls into the spread quarters. I think that's what they call it.
Is he a fellow New Orleanian like me?
I think he is. Hey, Roast Beef Ron, you there? Oh, shit. Hold on. Hey, Ron, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, hold on 1 second, brother. All right, sorry, guys. I'm screwing this up, man. I got this awesome setup here, and I can't even get a freaking phone to work. But give me 1 second. We're going to get this working. All right, I got to do... I know. I got to do all kind of crazy stuff to get things working here. Let's see. Roadcaster Pro. Got to get me connected here. All right. We're going to have to come back to Roast Beef Ron. Let me work on this. I'll restart this intro because, man, that was such a sweet intro.
You had it.
We'll come back to that in a second.
You had it. All good. Well, there goes Mr. Well, and as Nick tries to fix that, there goes Mr. Sean Fox, sports director, Sports Talk 97.7 FM, home for sports in your home for sports in North Louisiana. Of course, he's got his show from 3 to 6. So, guys, if you want to talk some Cajun football and you want to get a little smack talk in there, he welcomes it. He said, please call in, please listen in from 3 to 6, whether it's tomorrow or Friday, leading up to this big game against the ULM Warhawks. I want to hear what they have to say. I like to hear it from their perspective, guys, because look, he said it a few times. You know, you got a rival coming to town. Of course, a lot of our fans don't look at ULM as a rival, but I mean, if we're considered a rival to them, there's going to be a lot of smack talk. I'd like to kind of tune in for the fireworks. I'm going to listen tomorrow. What about y'all?
Yeah, I plan on listening. That'll be fun.
Well, at least they got something to be proud of finally.
Yeah, for sure. Oh,
I think we got him now, Jerry. Ron.
Yes, sir.
Roast beef. Ron is with
There
us.
he
Let me
is.
start your music again. There we go. All right. Church is now in service. We got roast beef, Ron.
Testify, my man.
What's up, my man? How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. It's an honor to be with you guys. Hey, I want to give you guys a shout out. I understand. What is this, your 23rd show in a row or something?
Yeah, it's our 23rd show this season, but we have 6 seasons, so there's a lot more where that came from.
Man, hey, nothing but respect. I know it's a lot of hard work, but I can tell you guys are passionate, and that gets me fired up.
I love it, man. Well, you get us fired up listening to you on Sundays. Talk to Devin Holdamayo and his after party, I call it, after the Saints games. I know you're a huge Saints fan. Ron, I will assume you're an LSU fan too. Is that correct?
Well, it's so funny because a lot of people have no clue who I am, and I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. I have people following me on Twitter, okay, at RBR from NOLA, okay, that don't know it's me, okay. But yeah, I'll give you a little bit of background. Man, Mayo, he just does a phenomenal job. This whole thing got started with a few of our football buddies from high school, and we have about 15 of us, and we do a fantasy draft, and it's a lot of fun. We do it in the neck of the woods of deep Covington. Okay, we're deep in the woods, brother.
Oh wow!
And so they said, man, you got to call this Mayo show. And one time I did, and I got through. And man, I got to tell you, I look forward to Sunday every week now. And we got the Saints turned around. But really, I'm a fan of Louisiana. Okay, I did graduate from Tulane, so I have a bit of an affection for the Wave, if you will. I've been a fan for 4 decades. But I will tell you, I think ULL in this program is absolutely trending in the right direction. Okay. And, if it was ULL or LSU, on the cusp of going to the college football playoffs, man, I would be so fired up. Okay. I'm a fan of LSU on Saturday night when they're not playing a Wave. I'm a fan of ULL when they're not playing a Wave. And by the way, we've had some great baseball games over the years.
Are you kidding me? Back in the Rick Jones days where we hated that guy with a passion with his stupid socks. Yeah, I remember those days, brother.
Hey, it's if you're winning a lot of games, a lot of people don't like you. That's okay.
Yeah, you're right.
But
you're right.
But one of the things that I just love about Louisiana is, we're a unique group of people. And to see the passion and the people that call in on Mayo's show, and maybe you guys will open up your phone lines one day, who knows? But it touches my heart because I think we're better together. And I think Tulane has a great shot to make it to the college football playoffs. I'm saying that in faith. But I will say this, getting back to your team, man, you guys get the construction done. When's that going to be done? After next season?
Yeah, so it's 2 phases. We're going to be done with that side next season. Then we have another phase coming on the other side of the stadium. But yeah, the part that's under construction now will be ready to go next year.
Well, listen, we have to figure. I heard somebody talking a little bit ago about keeping the talent here, and which we do a good job of in Louisiana, but also the regional matchups, if you will. We have to find a way. Okay, there's no reason why ULL should not or shouldn't be sold out every Saturday. You got a great product. You're in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I would say the same thing about Yeoman. That stadium needs to be sold out. And I just think if people taste it and come and see that it's good, they would be hooked. And there's just so much to be hopeful for. I can't envision, and I hope we never have a college football playoff without a team from Louisiana in it. Okay, because that would be a disgrace to this country.
I love that, man. I love the togetherness you were preaching tonight, brother. That makes me happy. But I think Tulane and we have a lot in common, and that's just trying to get people in the freaking stadium, instead of just watching it on TV. And you guys, I thought, have done a good job, especially a couple weeks ago. I think you played Temple or something, and they're terrible, but you guys had a great show out there. So props to that. But man, I just got to tell you, as a fan of Holden Mayo and a fan of yours, and our fans are saying you're spitting facts. We appreciate you calling in, brother. You guys are playing for the conference championship against Army. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wow.
We have Memphis on Thanksgiving night.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, listen, I think we're a 14-point favorite, and I'll close with this because I know you got to go. But listen, Memphis is a 9-2 football team. Okay. Yep. They're coming to Yeoman to win, so we got to handle our business on Thursday night, and then we'll play Army, and we win the game. We should play Army back in New Orleans. So I think that'll be good.
Well, that's awesome, man. Jerry, you had one thing for roast beef Ron?
Yeah, roast beef Ron. I gotta give you a shout out. I listened to your post games with Devin. I'm actually originally from New Orleans as well. I still got the 504 area code phone number, so we got that connection there.
Come on, Jesus.
I gotta ask him. Amen. I gotta ask you, what part of New Orleans are you from, and where'd you go to high school?
Well, I'm from Metairie. I'm not going to tell you where I went to high school.
Good.
Here's why.
It's none of his business. He asks everybody that stupid question.
We're
Good.
from New Orleans. It's a tradition. It's a tradition.
No. I understand. I went to a small private school in Metairie, Louisiana. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
All right.
It wasn't a Catholic league school. I'm not trying to. I'm just a fan of Louisiana, brother.
There you go, man.
And I just want the roast beef Ron. I just want Louisiana to know that roast beef Ron is for them. And let's come together this Thanksgiving and let's celebrate as a family. ULL, y'all get a damn win against ULM. Close it out. Play for the conference championship. And at Tulane on Thanksgiving night, we got room at the table. You don't have anything to do, 6:30 kickoff, nationally televised. Get to the house. We love you. Keep doing great things, ULL. Roast beef Ron. Out.
Amen. All right. Thank you, roast beef Ron. Appreciate that. Look, he had a few ULLs in there, I'm not going to hate him too bad on that. He's learning, man. It's about educating, and I didn't do that right now. I didn't do that now because that was not appropriate. I mean, he is a man of the Lord, so I didn't want to get into it on this show, but we will definitely get him educated for next time. But yes, sorry, Jerry. I went off the rails on that, but I was so excited that roast beef Ron was here to preach for us tonight. So that was good
what?
stuff.
And look, I know we're strict about the name. I get it, but you know what? He's showing us love tonight. Showing us love tonight. I can let it slide.
There's a time and a place for that, and we'll get there.
I totally understand. He's showing us love. He prayed for us. I mean, what more could you ask for? The man brought the Holy Spirit to Cajun Nation.
Oh, Josh is going to lose it when he hears that, man. Now, if we get, hey, I'm live, then this place will blow up.
Look, we'll work on I'm live. We'll work on I'm live for sure. And look, I'm sorry, I had to ask him where he's from and what high school he went to. It's tradition in the 504, and he's from Metairie, so I'm from right down. Look, we're literally neighbors. We were literally neighbors for a while, so we have that New Orleans connection. And every time I listen to Devin's show, guys, it always brings me home. I don't know. I've been in Lafayette for almost 20 years, but hearing the way they speak, hearing the stuff they talk about, it almost brings me back to Kenner like so fast.
Man, nobody can drop the MFers like people in New Orleans, man. That's a whole different MF.
It's part of the
awesome
vocabulary, yeah, for sure. Especially when they're mad, they just let it out. But thank you so much for the testimony, roast beef, Ron. Don't be a stranger. Don't be a stranger. So anyway, guys, let's talk a little bit more about ULM. Of course, Sean had mentioned a few things. One of the things that I'm, like you said, and I'm glad he brought it up, was let's just call it what it is. Ahmad Hardy. He is their offense. He is their bread and butter. I think, and look, we'll go into keys to victory for this game, and I'll start. First things first, you got to stop Ahmad Hardy. I think if you stop Ahmad Hardy, you stop their offense. That's key number one. Key number two, I'm going to say it, is win the turnover battle. I think if you get an early lead, and you saw this with Texas State when they went up to Monroe a couple of weeks ago, they jumped on them early. I think we get an early lead on ULM. I don't think they have the offensive power to come back. I think Sean had alluded to that as well. Our offense is going to have to come out, and come out fast. Come out fast, get on the scoreboard fast, and jump to a 2-score lead. You do that, they have to play catch up. You have to depend on them to start throwing the football. I think that's where I think we can have an advantage there as well. Last but not least, how are we going to be able to handle our offense if we don't have a full running back tandem? Again, I don't know if Zylan Perry will be ready to go. I'm sure he will be ready. I'm not sure if Dre Washington's going to be in this week. So, of course, you've got Taylor Citizen in the backfield with Bill Davis. So you're going to have a little bit of a difference in the run game. I think Chandler's going to do fine on the pass. I think we'll pass the football, but how does our offense look, and how are we going to be able to move the football, or we should be able to move the football? But my keys is we're going to have to move the football with a different running back tandem, and that's going to be a little interesting. So my 3 keys to victory: turnovers, stop Ahmad Hardy, and play a little bit more unique offensive scheme with a little bit of injuries in our running back core.
Yeah, my 3 keys are somewhat similar. I didn't say stop Ahmad Hardy. I said don't let Hardy beat you. And we've seen that a couple times these last couple of seasons, especially Frank Gore Jr. He owned us. Vidal for Troy just destroyed us. It's that one player on the team that kills us, and we can't let Hardy be that guy this week. So don't let him beat you single-handedly. Second one, get them in 3rd and long. And I think that was something even Sean said, is that 3rd and long, they really, really struggle in the passing game right now. So I think that's a key to this game. And then dominating the trenches. Again, I want to see our interior defense line up and do battle and limit Hardy. I mean, the guy's going to get his yards, but we got to limit him as best we can and not let him beat us, on his own. So those are my 3 keys. T, what you got, man?
Yeah, I think after the last 2 games, the rough starts that we've had in the beginning of the game has been a little bit concerning. I think we really need to start fast. Against Troy, I think we lucked out because Troy doesn't have a great offense. If an offense is rolling like South Alabama's was, and we can't keep up, I think you're treading in dangerous waters. So I think you need to start fast. Secondly, you need to create your own energy. It's been times, it's been a graveyard in there, and the only thing you could do is keep yourself going. And third thing, I think they've exceeded their own expectations. They're feeling high. You can't let them get going momentum wise. You need to beat them down. You need to put them in the dirt early and just make them feel defeated to where there's no way they come back.
Yeah, I agree with all y'all. I feel like one of the big things this weekend is going to be Chandler getting it rolling early, especially with the possibility of not having our normal running back room. I'm not saying he has to throw for 320 like he did last week, but at least get the accurate passes, make sure the receivers don't drop anything in their hands, and he'll be fine with that. So my next key is the turnover battle. We need to win that regardless. And then the next key would be to limit Hardy. Even if he rushes for 100 yards, 150 yards, just don't let him in the end zone. And I think we'll be fine.
All right, so that's all of our 3 keys to victory. Again, Louisiana will travel to Monroe to take on the ULM Warhawks this Saturday at 11 a.m. Game will be on ESPNU, nationally televised, and we'll discuss more on that before we close out this episode. Also, give a shout out, Kenny Almendares. Kenny the kicker, a finalist for the Lou Groza Award. Kenny, 25 of 27 on the year in field goals, 42 of 42 in extra points. The only 2 misses are from 50. The only 2 misses he's had this year are field goals from 50 plus, and he has scored a total of 117 points. He's pretty much breaking all records in scoring at Louisiana. So well deserved for Kenny. And if you get the chance, there are some sites where you as fans can go vote for Kenny. So make sure you go vote for Kenny, the kicker. Right now, he's in second place. He's up in competition with some really good kickers around the country. But how awesome would it be for Kenny Almendarez to win the Lou Groza Award? So Cajun Nation, if you can, be sure to go vote. Go vote on your phone, on your computer, vote on different usernames. I don't care. Just accumulate those votes for our boy Kenny. Congratulations to Kenny on this honor as well. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on around the Sun Belt Conference. So right now, just to give everybody an idea, there's been a lot of questions on, who's going to host, what the Cajuns need to do, blah, 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 all that other fun stuff. So I'm going to do a rundown of the schedule first, and then we'll kind of describe what we need to do. And Nick, Terrell, and Lane, you can help me. You can educate me a little bit on there's some things that you read on the Sunbelt site, because a lot of it looked pretty confusing. But anyways, first of all, we'll review what we saw last week around the Sunbelt Conference, starting with last Saturday's game between App State and JMU. App State defeated JMU 34-30 in snowy Boone, North Carolina. I believe this puts JMU out of the race down in the East. Huge win for App State. South Alabama takes care of Southern Miss by the score of 35-14 in Hattiesburg. Southern Miss now 1-10 on the season. South Alabama officially bowl eligible in Major Applewhite's first season as head coach. Arkansas State beat ULM by the score of 28-21 in Jonesboro. And of course, I know Coach Brian Vincent had said, they had it close, but no cigar. ULM, I know they're on a 5-game losing streak right now, but they've lost quite a few close games, including this one. Arkansas State, I think without looking, I believe they're bowl eligible as well with this win. Georgia Southern all over Coastal Carolina down in Conway by the score of 26-6. Georgia Southern still actually in the race for the Eastern Division title with a lot of things that have to happen. Georgia State, pretty much the upset of the week in conference play, as they went to San Marcos and defeated the Bobcats, or Texas State Bobcats, by the score of 52-44. And Marshall won against Old Dominion on the road in a shootout by the score of 42-35. We were keeping a close eye on that. Man, that would have helped us big time for sure.
But I'm going to tell you, Texas State has not lost 2 games in a row this season. It's been win-loss, 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 win-loss. They just lost. Guess what? They're going to beat South Alabama. So we're going to go into Saturday, and that's another thing that kind of concerns me. If they do end up beating South Alabama, do we go, let's not lay an egg. Let's keep focused. So I think Texas State pulls off the win against South Alabama, and that'll be on Friday night or Thursday?
Yeah, so
Friday night.
Perfect.
Friday at 30.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a perfect intro to the following week, because I'm actually have the schedule up. So yeah, starting on Friday, Texas State will travel to South Alabama to take on the Jaguars. Game will be at 2:30. Game will be on ESPN Plus. I'm sure a lot of Cajun fans will be watching this game. Why? Because as of right now, if Louisiana were to lose to ULM and South Alabama were to win on Friday, South Alabama would win the West. So let's pull for look. We're going to be big Texas State fans on Friday, because if Texas State wins on Friday, before we even kick off on Saturday, the Cajuns will be Western Division champions and will be in the Sun Belt Conference Championship. Almost said it, man. That'd be great. I know everybody's talking about the college football playoff. No, unfortunately, we will not be there as of right now. But if South Alabama if Texas State beats South Alabama in Mobile on Friday, that means before Louisiana kicks off on Saturday, the Cajuns will be Sun Belt Western Division champions. Of course, the Cajuns here will take on ULM at 11 o'clock. Game will be on ESPNU on Saturday. Coastal Carolina will travel to Georgia State. Kickoff will be at 1 o'clock. Game will be on ESPN Plus. Southern Miss will close out their season at Troy. Kickoff will be at 1 o'clock. Game will be on ESPN Plus. Old Dominion will take on Arkansas State down in Jonesboro. Kickoff will be at 2 o'clock. Game will be on ESPN Plus. App State will take on Georgia Southern, both of which are arch rivals. They will take on Georgia Southern in Statesboro with a kickoff time at 5 o'clock. Game will be on ESPN Plus. And last but not least, a big game and implications on us. Marshall will travel to JMU to take on the Dukes at 7 o'clock. It will be a 7 o'clock kickoff. Game will be on ESPNU. So let's talk a little bit about that, guys. So everybody's been asking what's going to happen. What's going to happen? How do the Cajuns get in the championship? How do the Cajuns host? So we'll start it off. We'll do it simple. Okay. If the Cajuns win on Saturday, they're in the championship. They win the West. That's it. You win on Saturday. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. You win the West. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Like I said before, if South Alabama loses to Texas State, if Texas State beats South Al on Friday, Louisiana will automatically be the champions before the game even starts on Saturday. So let's hope for that. Okay. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If the Cajuns lose and South Alabama loses, it wouldn't matter because the Cajuns would still own the tiebreaker, because that means South Alabama would have 3 losses in conference. So it wouldn't matter. What would matter at that point would be, how do we host, right? So let's talk about the Marshall JMU game. Let's do a hypothetical that the Cajuns win on Saturday. South Alabama wins on Friday. Cajuns win on Saturday. If JMU beats Marshall and the Cajuns win on Saturday, we will host the conference championship. Pretty easy way to say it. If South Alabama wins, if Texas State wins, we lose, and Marshall wins, we would go to Huntington. We would go to Marshall. From my understanding, and Nick, you can help me out here, Terrell or Lane, if both teams win on Saturday, if the Cajuns win and if Marshall wins, both teams will finish with a 7-1 conference record. I believe the next line of determination on who would host would be based off of 4 rankings, right? I think it's the Sagerin, and there's 3 other rankings that they use.
Massey, the Colley, and
Massey. Okay, so there's 4 rankings that they would use, and they would average them up, and whoever has the highest average would host. And I think that determines the CFP. Like the CFP rankings come from those 4 rankings, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
Yeah.
The importance of that right now, to let everybody know, is that if you average out those 4 rankings as of right now, Louisiana is technically 6 or 7 spots ahead of Marshall. That's important to know. We are currently 6 or 7 spots ahead of Marshall. Now, where it gets interesting is if Marshall wins and Louisiana wins, the big question, the $1 million question, in my opinion, and I don't know if it'll be enough, will that JMU win for Marshall be strong enough to bump them up above us if we were to beat ULM? That's the $1 million question if we both win. Because in my opinion, I don't think it should be. I'd be shocked.
I think,
but
that would
should
feel
be
like
the big question.
That would feel like the biggest middle finger to us, honestly. Just one half of bad football in conference costs you a chance at hosting the conference championship game. I mean, and yeah, you need, if you want to be a champion, if you want to host these important games, you need to play it to the best of your ability at all times. But man, I'd feel gutted for our guys if that was the case, because you win every other game. You played one bad half of conference, and that would cost you that game, or at least hosting it.
I want to say a couple of those rankings have the margin of victory compiled into it. So the stronger your game is, the better chance you have of getting it.
Look, my brain is bleeding through my ears right now because I can't even keep up with anything that you people are saying. But what I can say is that the Sun Belt Championship will either be Georgia Southern versus Louisiana, or Louisiana versus Marshall, or Marshall versus South Alabama, or South Alabama versus Georgia Southern. And it'll either be in Statesboro, Lafayette, Huntington, or Mobile. That is all I know. That's all I can keep up with. Thank you, Kara Ritchie, for making that clear for me, because that's literally like I save that because I know I understand nothing else. Just win on Saturday is all I care about right now.
Let's just hope it doesn't go to a coin flip. Because
I'll sum it up. I'll sum it up like this, and this is my assumption. I don't know how these rankings work with the score, margins, and all that. If we're 6 or 7 spots ahead of Marshall right now, and we win by 2 scores in Monroe, to me, it would take a miracle for Marshall to go to JMU, which, by the way, JMU does not lose at home, and it's going to be their senior day. I would be very hard pressed to believe that they would go to JMU, win by 5 scores, and somehow jump a 6 or 7 spots. I unless there's something in those rankings that I don't know about, in my honest opinion, if we win on Saturday, I think we host regardless.
The wild thing is, and none of those tiebreakers is the overall record anywhere,
which is crazy.
Well,
so we would have one less loss, and it wouldn't matter.
I don't mind that because you could look at a team like Liberty and schedule cupcakes all throughout the year, and have we have the better overall record. Whereas, I mean, you have a team that would deserve them. I think I prefer it that way in a sort of sense, but I agree. Just win on Saturday and you're gonna host.
Speaking of Liberty, I don't even think they're gonna make it in the conference championship.
No, they've struggled this year. Oh well. Anyway, I think if you win on Saturday, I think we're okay. Now, I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm still gonna watch that JMU Marshall game to be sure, because that'll solidify it. If we win on Saturday and JMU beats Marshall, we're hosting. And at that point, Georgia Southern is in the hunt too. So if that's the case, there may be a chance Georgia Southern comes to Lafayette. So
I want to say if Georgia Southern wins and Marshall loses, Georgia Southern's in.
Okay.
Yeah, because Georgia Southern has a tiebreaker.
They do. They do have the tiebreaker.
And they are probably way behind us in the ratings.
And you see, no, they are way behind us in the ratings. They're 7-4 overall. They're 5-2 in conference play. Marshall's 6-1. But again, they beat Marshall by 1 point, by the way, and they would own the tiebreaker. So Georgia Southern would actually have to beat App State to get in. And it's going to be interesting because they host App State. App State's playing for bowl eligibility. So that's going to be a war, and they're arch rivals. It's probably one of the biggest arch rivals in the Sun Belt Conference. So Georgia Southern has a lot to play for. Marshall has to go on the road to JMU, and their Coach Huff, he's getting interviewed by Southern Miss. So hopefully some distractions are in the mix there. I know we spotted some flights from Huntington to Hattiesburg, which that kind of gave it away, but hopefully that'll create enough distractions down in JMU.
I'm telling you, man, that thread on Rage and Pagan years ago with the flight tracker and the flight. Oh man, that was the best, probably the best thread in the history of Rage and Pagan. That was freaking awesome.
Plain watch. Yeah. And it was to the point where the Rage and Pagan, say what you want about Rage and Pagan, right? You got your loyal fans that are like, oh, I don't read Rage and Pagan. But then it got so much leverage that they were literal. I think KLFY or KETC or a bunch of news stations got the information off the Rage and Pagan thread and actually drove out to the airport with their camera crew to see if the plane from College
Isn't that funny?
was actually Kevin Sumlin. And they were like, nope, false alarm. It wasn't him. It was just
those were good times, man. Those were good days.
Great times. So anyway, guys, yeah, that kind of sums up there's a lot of spider webbing to this whole scenario. But again, win on Saturday, take care of business, and you're most likely going to have the championship game here at Cajun Field on December 7th. And hopefully next week we'll be back to talk about that. But you got to beat ULM. Beat ULM, and the rest will take care of itself, guys. Okay, so moving on to before we talk about basketball, I got to ask you guys. Now, Thanksgiving's coming up in a couple days. My family and I, we're hosting for the first time in a while. Nick, I know you're going to be in town in Lafayette. Lane, you're going to be with your family. Terrell, you're probably going to be with yours as well. Give me some Thanksgiving traditions. What do y'all do? What kind of food do y'all eat? What's y'all's big shaws for on Thursday? What we got?
Not candied yams. I'll tell you that much. Freak.
I was waiting for it.
I mean, it's always good being away from home. It's always good to be back in Lafayette and see people. And the hard thing is everybody wants to hang out when I'm back home. I mean, I'm not that popular, but the few people that I know want to hang out with me. So it's managing, family time, and then folks want to hang out with you and they want to go do this and they want to go there, all that stuff. So that gives me a headache in advance, but it's going to be an oilless fried Cajun turkey that I'm making. I did a pretty good job of it last year. All the normal stuff. My mom's mac and cheese is just to die for. And I actually, bought this Ninja slushy machine, and I'm bringing it because it makes the best the dessert. That's the Wendy's Frosty. Like it's literal tastes just like a Wendy's Frosty.
Like a
so
swirl?
I'm bringing that. Yeah, like that shell. So I'm bringing that. We're gonna have that for dessert along with a few other things, but we're gonna keep the green bean casserole and those. My mom's watching to keep that crap away from me. We're not doing those damn candied yams not in my presence this year.
Shame on
not
you,
gonna
sir.
happen.
Shame. Anyway, what you got, Lane?
Typically I go to my grandmother's for Thanksgiving. We usually have all the cousins come up and eat for the day. We usually do ham and turkey with some sweet potatoes with the marshmallows.
Candied yams. Okay.
Every now and then. And then we do stuffing and cranberry sauce and the typical Thanksgiving stuff.
What about you, T?
So we're not really big on Thanksgiving, but we don't get all of our family to come into town, but just my immediate family. We got the day off. Might as well go get to my parents' house and eat some food and watch some football. But I tell you what, my mom always made a ham. The one thing I hated though was eating ham sandwiches for 3 weeks straight after that.
But that's so good though.
But it's good ham.
No, I get it, but it got so old so fast.
Not for 3 weeks, but like for a couple days, we're okay. But yeah, not 3 weeks. I agree with. I'm sorry to cut you off. Carson said rice dressing is a must. I agree. My mom makes some damn good rice dressing, and she's doing some cornbread dressing on top of that because I asked for it. So
yeah, we're doing both as well.
But my mom is doing the honey ham. It's not honey baked ham, but she's doing her own honey baked ham, a la Thelma.
Nice. Yeah, so we're hosting Thanksgiving for the first time at the new house, and my in-laws are coming in. My father-in-law is going to be baking the turkey outside, and I'm actually doing the baked macaroni. I got the Rocky and Carlos recipe, the Rocky and Carlos restaurant down in Chalmette. You do that. My mom's actually doing the rice dressing, so I'm pretty happy about that. My wife, Kayla's making I think she's making the potato salad. We've got cornbread dressing. I think we've got oyster dressing. I'll probably add the candied yams just to piss Nick off, just for the hell of it. And I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to him as I'm eating it.
I will block you. I will block you so fast.
But we got some pies. We got 2 pies that we're getting as well. So it's going to be a hearty meal. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got the TV ready to go for Thanksgiving. And, I think what's cool about it is having a 2-year-old and celebrating Thanksgiving with my daughter. That's going to be a blast. And she loves it when the family comes in. And I'm really looking forward to it. And the great thing about it, guys, I don't have to get in the car and go to New Orleans and travel. Everybody's coming to us. So I'm saving a lot of gas money. I know, Nick.
Well, I don't pay for gas. So I'm good.
Well, there you go.
I got that electric car. Zoom.
Just put that battery in there.
I press that button. It auto drives. I call it drunk assist because that does come in handy, but auto drives me to my parents. We're good.
I will say though, this kind of gave a gateway. Kayla and I were talking about it on Friday because what we'll be in town is we're getting our Christmas shaws started a little bit earlier. Usually we get it started the following week, but Friday we'll probably start doing some Christmas stuff because of course now it's the tradition after Halloween on November 1st, everybody starts singing Christmas carols, so I guess we're going to join in that tradition as well. But no, it's going to be a fun Thanksgiving for everybody, man. And I'm glad to hear y'all do some stuff and yeah, Terrell, if there's any leftover ham and you don't want to eat it for 3 weeks, here, pass it over to us. We'll eat some of that ham because I'm sure it's really, really good. Is it a honey baked ham that your mom makes?
Oh, man, we got it from all kinds of different places. I think we used to always get it from Sam's, but ham is my favorite thing to eat. I'll eat on it. It's just when I was in middle school, I'm like, dude, I want to get some. I just want some. I want some chicken. Can we get some chicken? No, we got ham.
You got at that point you have to be creative. It can't just be with the bread. You got to.
It's more like shut up and eat your ham.
That's what it was. I was like, we got it. You're gonna eat it. We're not getting nothing else.
Not even a little turkey. Not even a little piece of turkey meat. Right? Nothing. Just all ham.
Oh no, that's all we got. That's all we did was a ham. So she's like, that's all you're gonna eat.
Fair enough. Hey, everybody's got their different traditions, right? Nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, we're all thankful for enjoying family time and watch some good football and look, I'll tell you, the best part about Thanksgiving is after you eat your lunch, when you fall asleep on the couch to the football game, you know it was a good one. It was a good Thanksgiving. So anyway, moving on. Cajuns women's basketball, Coach Gary Broadhead and the ladies took care of business tonight at the Cajun Dome against UNO. Final score 61-46. Let's see, it was Disney night and Down Syndrome Association of Acadiana game. So always for a great cause. Louisiana victorious again by 15 over the Lady Privateers. They'll be back in action. They're going down to New Orleans for the Big Easy Classic in the Hilario Center down in West Wego, the West Bank. They'll take on Cleveland State on Friday. Tip-off will be at 11 o'clock. You can watch the game on YouTube, so probably have free streaming there. You can listen on 103.3 The GOAT as well as 1420 AM. And then Saturday, same time, tip-off at 11 o'clock. They'll take on Minnesota, the Golden Gophers, at the Hilario Center down in West Wego. It won't be on radio due to the football game, but you can watch on YouTube. So if you have a double screen between the football game and women's basketball, they will start at the same time. Right now, the Cajuns women's basketball is now at 3-1 overall, and they're on a little bit of a 3-game win streak. So good luck to the ladies down in New Orleans this weekend. And after that, they'll have a week off before Rice comes to town on the 7th of December, which will be the following Saturday. All right. So moving on. Oh, men's basketball, not the best start. Let's just put it to you like that. The Cajuns went down to the Virgin Islands for a weekend tournament. They started out playing Liberty on Friday. Liberty ended up winning the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam by defeating future Cajun opponent Magnice. Liberty was victorious over the Cajuns on Friday by the score of 89-69, which put Louisiana into the losers bracket against George Washington. They dropped that game 83-74. And then, of course, the Cajuns closed out the tournament yesterday, which was Monday. Unfortunately, the Cajuns' late second half run came up short as UAB pulled away and defeated the Cajuns by the score of 98-86. That was a game where Louisiana had led for most of the game. They were up by 8 in the second half, and UAB closed it out with a 39-19 run. Look, not to be a pessimist here or be negative or anything like that, but I got some interesting stats I wanted to share with you guys concerning basketball right now. With this loss, Louisiana finished in 8th place in the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam out of 8 teams, unfortunately. So they finished last. They now sit at 1-6 overall, and they'll be back in action on Saturday against Nichols in the Cajun Dome. Tip-off will be at 2 o'clock, and you can watch on ESPN Plus or catch the game on radio on 96.5. It is Kids Day. You can buy tickets for as low as $7. So, look, this team is it's a grind. It's a grind. So if you have a chance to go support the players, it's a new team, but I'm sure they're playing their tails off. So if you don't have anything to do on Saturday, go check them out at the Cajun Dome at 2 o'clock against Nichols.
It's a grind. That sounds familiar. No, but before you go over to the next thing, because I know we don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. You ever watch the movie The Gremlins? I feel like the Cajuns basketball team in the first half of every game is just like the movie The Gremlins, where they're all cute, for a little bit, then water gets poured on them, and then they become ugly, and then they lose their shit. Well, that's kind of what we do. We're like the Gremlins, Jerry. So just wanted to throw that out there. That's how I feel like our last few games have gone.
Well, thank you, Nick. That's kind of random, but anyway. So just looking at some stuff, my buddy of mine sent me these stats. It's actually pretty interesting. He didn't include the UT Dallas game. He didn't include UT Dallas. It was just the 6 games against D1 competition. Technically, unfortunately, against D1 competition right now, we're 0-6, right? But rebounds, we've been, and actually Andrew Richard sent me this. Andrew is of course, a friend of the pod. He's a big UL fan and he follows UL basketball as well. Rebounds, we've been out rebounded in all 6 of our games against D1 competition. The total deficit in rebounds is 75. We've been out rebounded 75 times. We average 12.5 rebounds less per game than our opponent. Offensive boards, the total deficit is 32. We average 5.3 less per game than the opponents on the offensive boards. As far as second half adjustments, now this really stuck out to me. In the second half, we have not outscored an opponent one time in the 6D1 games we've played. We've actually led UAB by 2 points going into halftime yesterday. We were outscored by 12. And so in the 12 halves that we've played against D1 competition, we have only led one time, and that was against UAB. So that's a lot to unravel. No, that's not an agenda. No, that's not a narrative that I'm trying to spew. No, that's not me having this mission to do whatever according to, people that may be closer to the program. All I'm saying is these are the stats, these are the facts, and right now, because of it, we're sitting with a 1-6 record. So, this is definitely not a great start. It's not an ideal start. This team has a lot of work to do. Look, we can talk about injuries. We can talk about the struggles they're going through and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to strap it up and play some ball. And unfortunately, we went to this tournament and honestly, we weren't even that competitive. It was kind of frustrating. We had a caller call in on Saturday for our post game after our Troy win in football. And one of them, he kind of said sarcastically, he says, "Congratulations to Bob Marlin for not losing a game by 20 plus," because leading up to that game, we had lost 3 straight by 20 plus points. And, that's not good. That's not good. I understand that we have, Hosanna Contingent is out for the year. Unfortunately, we're going to have to find ways to adjust to that. We've got Hardy. He's going to be out till conference play, but these guys we have now are talented enough to be able to compete better than we've been competing with. Against UAB yesterday, we're up 8 in the second half and Coach Marlin calls a timeout. And after that, it stops our momentum and they go on a 39-19 run. That's not because we lack talent. If we weren't that talented, we wouldn't be leading by 8 points in the second half against UAB. We couldn't respond to UAB's runs. Our inside game, we panicked a little bit offensively. And I just think it's going to take time for this team to gel. The problem and the question I have is when. When are they going to gel? And is it going to be too late to gel? Because now we have a schedule where we have Nichols, we've got Southeastern, Lamar, Louisiana Tech. McNeese, App State. These got a tough stretch coming up. So I really don't know what else to say about it other than we're off probably to one of the worst starts in a long time, and it needs to change, and it needs to change fast.
That's all I got.
Lane, Terrell, talk to me. Nick's pretty much at the point where he's vented enough. What you guys got?
I just think it's a shame that we, as opposed to the last few years, the home schedule this year, obviously we've been wanting to have a P5 or P4 program come to the Cajun Dome. But as far as the last few home schedules we had, this was a pretty good one. You had Tech coming in, you had Rice coming in, you had McNeese coming in. And there's no excitement at all around the program. And it feels like this season's just been a wash, and there's no reason to feel like it won't be a wash until the end of the season. Yeah,
and it's a shame because we're only a fourth of the way in the season. The season just started, and I'm not. I can't spend time trying to dissect what's going on. Like the idea we have injuries. Oh, we're hurt. It's like, look, man, every team has injuries. We say this every year. Every year we don't win the conference is because of injuries. So what if we're healthy 100% of the time, we're automatically going to win the conference? We got to stop making excuses. It's the excuses, and that, we could talk about how we played hard and all this stuff, but you didn't play hard enough yesterday. You didn't play hard enough against UAB when you gave up a 39-19 run to end the game and you were up by 8 with like 8 minutes to go. That's not hard enough. So, look, I'm hoping that the morale in the locker room's good. I'm hoping that they can get back to practice and actually, have good practices and gel. And look, this Nichols game is, believe it or not, to salvage this season, it's very important. I never would have thought I'd say that because I don't picture us ever losing to Nichols in basketball, but this is actually a more important game than I expect. Because if you lose this game, now you're 1-7. Going into a stretch that is not going to be that easy. And so, this game on Saturday is important. We got to see there's a lot riding on this game.
Who was our one win against Jerry?
UT Dallas.
Division what? 3?
They're Division 2. They just transitioned from Division 3.
Gotcha. I just wanted to confirm that. I just wanted to say it out loud again that our one wins against a Division 2 team.
And it wasn't very convincing either.
It was
No,
a 17
it wasn't.
point win. I mean, we were only up by 2 at halftime.
Exactly.
You know,
And the one home game that I've been to was the Rice game, and I took pictures. There was nobody there. There wasn't the enthusiasm in the fans until halftime when we were down by a point, and then we got blown out again in the second half. So it was like, we all know the next step, but at this point, what's it going to take that next step?
I think what's hard to accept right now is apathy. Like when fans are apathetic, and Nick, Josh has said this all the time, they've checked out to where they don't care. I think now it's gotten to the point where people are actually coming back from the apathy, and they're showing anger. Now it's anger. Now it's apathy to anger in a way where it's like, okay, at first we didn't care because we've had enough, but now it's like, okay, they're coming back from the apathy going, okay, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. What's going on here? Like this, no, we're the fans, some of the fans are apathetic, but now it's okay. They're apathetic. And now they're coming back going, guys, really? We're still doing this. We're still struggling here like this. And that, to me, that's even worse, because now, look, you got some fans out there who you go on social media after some losses and you go to the basketball page or you go to the basketball fan page. There's not much positivity right now. There's a lot of frustration. And so here's their chance to turn it around on Saturday, guys. That's all I can say. And look, we'll be here. We'll be following it on our phones or watching it. I'm gonna watch it while we do our post game because we have our post game after for Saturday. But it's it's a struggle. 1-6 does not feel good right now. And technically, according to the net ranking, because they don't count non-D1 wins, technically we're 0-6 according to the net ranking. So it's got to change. It's got to be fixed, and it's got to be fixed and changed really, really fast. So
I hate it for the guys because they've chosen to be here, but after the bowl game, I'm going to be checked out until February.
I think what's interesting is that this same tournament we finished last in, McNeese was playing for the championship right after us. And it's like, how in the hell does McNeese come in and they're able to succeed like that? It's supposed to be the opposite. We're the ones supposed to be playing for the championship. They're the ones supposed to be finishing in 8th place. And, it's not the case. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. We'll talk about the Nichols game next week, see what we saw. And then after that, of course, the Cajuns will host Louisiana Tech, which will be a really big challenge. Louisiana Tech won on the road against UMass, and they beat Southern Illinois, who is a really respectful Missouri Valley Conference basketball team. The Salukis, they have a very rich history in basketball.
And I believe they're still undefeated at the moment.
They are undefeated. That's correct. So they'll come to the Cajun Dome as well the following Saturday. So we'll see what happens on Saturday. Again, Louisiana Raging Cajun basketball will take on Nichols on Saturday at 2:00. Again, you can watch the game on ESPN Plus or listen to the game on 96.5 KPEL. All right, guys. So before we go, we've talked about a lot of stuff tonight, but before we go, Cajuns and ULM on Saturday. Let's hear your predictions. Nick, you go first, brother.
I will be quick on this one. Cajuns win 38-20.
Lane.
I'm going to go Cajuns 38, ULM 21.
Terrell.
I'm going to do 27-13.
All right, guys. And I'm going to go 34-17 Cajuns. So I think all four of us are going to pick a Cajuns win. And again, just go win on Saturday. You win on Saturday, you're in the championship. And if something, you get a little bit of, look, we got roast beef Ron that was able to.
He blessed the win, man. We're ready.
Bless the win, but maybe some of that extra Holy Spirit can give us that push to help us host.
There you go. There you go.
So hopefully we'll be back next week to talk about hosting this championship game at a half-built Cajun field. That'll be pretty cool. All right, guys. So I guess that's going to do it tonight. Final thoughts before we go?
boys, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Everyone out there, hope you're spending some time with your family, and hope there is no candied yams at your particular gathering. Hope that you wonder why you sleep after you eat because you're in a damn diabetic coma, Jerry. So I hope you all have a very good Thanksgiving and spend some good time with your family.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there, and looking forward to watching the Cajuns, whether it's in Lafayette or in Monroe.
Let's have some turkey fries at the championship game in Lafayette, man. Let's host it. Let's host the game. Let's go all out for it. Excited for it.
That's what I love to hear. Well, guys, thank y'all so much. And to Cajun Nation, thanks everybody for listening tonight. If you like what we do, please like, subscribe. We are on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. You can also listen to us on Apple, iTunes, as well as Spotify. One more thanks to Sean Fox, sports director of 97.7 Sports Talk, home of sports in North Louisiana. Thank you so much for coming on to discuss the Raging Cajuns and ULM game. Also, thank you so much, brother Roast Beef Ron, for coming on and blessing this team and this hopeful upcoming win against ULM on Saturday. And once again, guys, for Thanksgiving, I'm thankful for all of y'all, and I'm thankful for the Cajuns, baby. As always, guys, we'll be back on Saturday following a hopeful win against the Warhawks for a post game. We'll give you the opportunity to please call in, talk, and hopefully we'll be popping champagne and celebrating a Western Division title as well as a chance to host for the Sun Belt Conference Championship. But we'll be back until then. To everybody traveling to Monroe, please be safe on the road and bring us home a W. And once again, everybody, have a happy, joyous, and safe Thanksgiving. As always, guys, we're the Raging Review Podcast. In the words of the late, great Big Dave Thibodeau, bye! We out of here. We'll see you Saturday following our hopeful win against ULM. As always, have a good night and go Cajuns.